This is Steffen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com. This week we have been watching with great agony a continuation of the budget crisis in the United States. As you know, the Congress is divided. The Republicans are being pushed by the Tea Party to cut a very huge chunk out of the current federal budget. The Democrats are unwilling to cut that much, and President Obama certainly, when he comes into the picture, also feels that a huge budget cut of the size that conservative Republicans want would impair the recovery, which is still pretty fragile. And so we don't have a budget, and we've been passing continuing resolutions, and the budget crisis has become an embarrassment simply because a country like the United States ought to be able to operate normally, have a debate, vote, and have a budget on time. The truth of the matter is the U.S. almost never has a budget on time. It's almost always months and months and months later. And I think that it creates a gridlock that makes it very difficult for government to operate efficiently and smoothly and normally and to plan ahead. One of the assumptions behind the budget crisis or debate this year is the Republican effort to shrink the size of government. Big government is bad. We've heard that for many years. And the effort to cut the budget is in part to shrink the federal government, as well as to balance the budget or to bring the budget deficits down somewhat. The truth of the matter is, and I just wrote about this, now pay attention here because you're not going to believe what I'm going to say. Americans like big government. Yes, Americans like big government. Tell me about, the construction industry in the United States that do contracts to build highways and airports and port facilities and naval facilities and military bases and so on. Much of the building industry in the United States thrives because they're federal infrastructure projects. Tell me about agriculture. Do farmers like big government? Well, they complain about it. They don't like it when the government regulates them too much, but farmers love a huge Department of Agriculture that is there to provide them with all kinds of services, research, and all kinds of administrative infrastructure for things that they do. And obviously, government loves it farmers love it when government mandates mixing ethanol in with fuel and other programs. And frankly, farmers love the food stamp program. The food stamp program is a very large source of revenue for agriculture in the United States all over the country. And I could go on, but I'm not going to do that. But I do want to point out that, in fact, most Americans say they don't like big government except for the programs that they like and that serve them. And this means that when the time comes to cut budgets and trim them back and to shrink the size of government, a lot of people really become very annoyed and upset because they want other people's budgets cut but not theirs. And that makes it more complicated, and that's why we're having such a painful process in Washington. So my own personal feeling is that we actually need some government reforms. We actually need to do business in a different way. If companies did budgets the way the government does, they'd be bankrupt. They'd be out of business. And if families did their family budgets the way the federal government does, the family would collapse. They would have no idea what to do. So I am a big supporter of government reform when it comes to the budget process and how that is done. And I hope we can do that sometime in the near future. This is Steffen Schmidt for InsiderIowa.com at the Iowa State University bookstore.